You can go now. I'm ready.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming to the Salesforce Data Analytics Meetup. We do this every other month for the last 3 years. So next meetup will be probably the first week of December, though it's not on the calendar yet, but if you're signed up for the meetup, you'll get notice. I want to thank Clari for sponsoring tonight.
Said it right.
I said it right. All right.
Solid.
Yeah. And also Geekdom for hosting us as always. Geekdom's a co-working space, so if you ever looking for a desk and a place to work, it's pretty cool. That's where I work. My name's David Hecht. I'm the organizer of this meetup, and I also have 2 apps on the Salesforce App Exchange. One is called Cloud Amp. It's a marketing analytics app that does lead tracking and Google Analytics integration to Salesforce. And also have one called Chargin that does recurring billing and credit card integration for Salesforce. So that's me. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Somrat from Clari. And he and Marc are going to be giving a demo on this cool sales analytics software they've got.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thanks.
Who's heard of Clari before? Oh, nice. What? Good start. Good start. So just a quick question. Just want to get an understanding of who's in the room. Administrators. All right. Sales ops. Sales. IT. Analytics. Should be everyone, technically speaking. Well, first, thanks for taking the time. Excited to share with you guys what we do here at Clari, the problems we solve, the customers we serve, and hopefully you guys get jazzed about the way we see the world. So what we're going to do today is kind of introduce you to the company, and then we're going to kind of show you a lot of product, which my colleague here, Marc, who is part of the product team, is going to kind of give an overview of. So we're going to talk a lot about predictive, which is sort of a big part of what we do. I was thinking about as I was driving. I live in the South Bay, and I was driving up here, and I was thinking about why do we get so excited about predictive at Clari? And I was thinking about this last weekend, and someone sort of broke into my credit card. This is a true story. This is actually real. So that is my last 4 digits of my credit card number. For those that are curious, they can't do anything with that information. But if we think about what's happening in the world in our consumer lives, predictive technology is really sort of impacted us in a big way. In this case, in this last weekend, someone in Omaha, I got this because American Express, Chase called me, somehow got my credit card for whatever reason, and they bought a ticket from Omaha to Atlanta, which clearly, I don't know, no offense to people who live in Omaha that go to Atlanta, but that was not me. And I got a call, I got an email immediately, and saying, hey, it seems like there's some unauthorized usage going on. And so this is not a human looking through my records. This is data working for me. This is a system that's kind of working in the background, really, really helping me and live a better life. And so this happened, and I got thinking about it and saying, well, what else is happening in this world? And it turns out I come in Monday morning, and one of my colleagues sort of shares this article about Hitachi building this new technology that sort of can predict when crime is actually occurring. And I thought this was really, really interesting, and I was like, well, how do you do that, right? And it turns out that gangs are actually use certain types of colloquial sort of language, this happens in social media. So people are tweeting or updating Facebook, saying certain things, and those patterns and sort of word choices are actually sort of being used. Hitachi sort of figured out these patterns, and so in real time, they're able to, the police can actually now figure out where crime is actually occurring. And so we're finding that this amazing, powerful technology is able to sort of mine data, be able to analyze this data, and in real time really transform the way that we think about the problems we have in our consumer lives. But if we think about software today and the tools that we use at work, it's nothing like that. It's a lot of, you got to run reports, these things are, you guys are familiar with this, you got to do a lot of manual data entry, it does not telling you anything really interesting. And so, it got me thinking, and as a company, we said, why is predictive so hard in enterprise software? Why is why isn't this sort of amazing technology that's happening in our consumer lives coming to our work? And it comes down to three things. One is we're working with incomplete data. Analytics has this huge potential to help you derive and help you make everyday decisions, but you're not working with all the right information to actually make a really meaningful decision. And so it's something that we've thought about and saying, well, if we want to really do amazing things with predictive capabilities, do we have all the right data? The second is, if you look at the examples of Chase and being alerted for fraud, as well as this example of Hitachi, how do you get to answers really, really quickly? I mean, it's not just about, hey, here's some cool thing. It's about getting to an answer really, really quickly. And so in this day where there's a lot of analytics technologies that exist where you can do a lot of cool reports, is it actually getting to the answer that you actually want? And a lot of enterprise software today struggles with this today. And the last thing is it's all about real time. We can go out today and, I just heard about Uber. I never heard about Uber, but let's say I just heard about Uber because I'm one of those people. I can download an app, I can sign in, and I can use it right away. Enterprise software should actually be that simple. It should be that simple. And yet if you look at a lot of analytics solutions today, it takes weeks, months, maybe even a year to actually not only get it set up, but then to actually get to the answer you want can take forever. And so, Clari we said, hey, there's this really interesting opportunity to bring these amazing consumer-like technologies to enterprise software, and we're already seeing this in a lot of other industries, right? If I buy something in Amazon or I do something on FedEx, there's a high degree of confidence that I can buy something and it'll come to me is really, really high for all of us. We don't worry about that. In marketing, if you asked 10 years ago, you spent money, you spent how many dollars on a marketing campaign, you wouldn't really know how that marketing campaign would actually convert into actual ROI. But now in this era, you can actually spend money and feel really confident. They're like, hey, this is going to actually derive the following ROI. But in sales, you ask any VP of sales, you ask any sales manager, head of any salesperson, hey, how are you doing today? Do you think you're going to make your number? Do you think, what do you need to do to get to those numbers? What do you think you're going to end up? These are real questions that every salesperson has. And yet, it's still driven through, well, I think I can do this. I wonder, maybe, if these things happen, can you actually use all this data? Can we actually help salespeople use predictive capabilities and machine learning to move to this era? So the opportunity that inspired Clari was, can we actually do this? Can we bring predictive capabilities to the world of sales? And he said, in order for us to do that, oops, I went backwards. In order for us to do that, we have to collect all the data, right? So this is the idea. There's incomplete data. You got to be able to pull it from all the places that matter. So there has to be more automation. There has to be more automations. How can the systems do more for us? We have to first collect all the data. Second is, can we get to the right questions faster in real time? And lastly, we can't have software that takes forever to set up to get to those answers. It has to be up and running very, very quickly. And we're not talking about this world of cloud and SaaS that we all know very well. We're talking about getting to the answers to the questions that businesses need in a matter of minutes. And so Clari was founded on this inspiration. And the founders of our company, we were founded about a few years ago. The founding team had were deep experts in data science and machine learning. They actually started a company, built it to a $100 million run rate, and ended up getting acquired by Symantec. And the whole business was centering around mining data to help businesses make decisions. They were able to inspire, and they took all this knowledge and they said there's this opportunity to bring it to enterprise software, specifically in the area of sales. We have some of the best investors in the world, Sequoia Capital and Bain Capital Ventures, and we're able to, what we're going to talk to you today is our first step into this era, which is a platform that we're building called a predictive sales analytics platform. We have some of the largest name brand customers in the world, Cisco, Palo Alto Networks, Aruba, VMware, Good Technology, Mobile Iron, and today we're going to talk to you about what we do. Any questions about the company and where we started?
So you said most of your customers are from the heavy metal networking industry.
It just we're local. We're down south. You know, sell to people nearby. You know, it's not. It was a sales strategy more than it is. It's a coincidence. I mean, Good Technology isn't, and Mobile Iron, they don't do metal, but it turns out, well, some of our customers, Medallion is a software company, Box is a software company.
So it's not necessarily that these people are more comfortable with this type of technology that maps into the sales process.
And yeah, it's very independent of those things. Yeah, it just turns out that as we go through and say, well, how does predictive sort of fit into the problems that we solve? We'll talk about that right now. So as an entry point to that. So as we talked about, there's this opportunity to sort of use all this data to really help drive everyday decisions. When we talk to our customers, they said 3 things impact their ability to drive velocity. And you know, for those that have worked with your sales teams, you probably are very, very familiar with these 3 things. One is sales team productivity. In this day and age, we still spend a lot of time doing a lot of manual data entry. You know, we fill out forms, we hit save, we go to the next form, we hit save. And this is a massive, massive time suck. It's very painful. No salesperson likes to do it. And the reality is that a lot of salespeople don't do it. And because they don't do it, it causes a slew of challenges. The first one being managers don't really have an idea what their reps are doing. If people aren't loading, if telling the team what's actually being worked on, what the customer communication, whether the rep's actually responding, managers can't help them succeed in driving their business. And so we call that pipeline inspection. The ability for managers to inspect what's happening from their sales teams, being able to help them prioritize and drive everyday outcomes. But if you can't inspect your deals and you have to sort of report a forecast back to your team, that is extreme. That ultimately is where the rubber hits the road. And so what happens is CRM tools just don't work for a lot of sales organizations, and they say, hey, I don't know what's going on with CRM, why don't you go fill out the spreadsheet or email me and tell me what you're going to do this quarter. And so we hear this a lot, and we found from hearing from our customers that today's CRM and BI tools are failing. Why? CRM doesn't tell the complete picture. It's not connected to other sources of information. Goes back to this idea that if you're analyzing incomplete information, you're making incomplete decisions, you're making wrong decisions, garbage in, garbage out. The CRM tools and BI tools aren't actually analyzing that data to help you drive everyday sort of challenges and opportunities ahead of you. And lastly, you're not getting visibility into all the things that are happening from your sales team to drive your team and your business. And so Clari said, if we're going to try to take this sort of opportunity, and we talked about what's happening in consumer business, we got to think about this very, very differently. One is we have to collect all the data. We have to automate the collection of every single thing that's happening from the rep out in the field. One, we have to understand what's happening in their CRM system. But we know that CRM doesn't tell the complete picture of what's actually happening out in the field. Reps email customers. Customers email them back. They have meetings. But none of that stuff's actually logged into your CRM system. So if you're going to actually understand whether a deal is going to make it or not, you have to have all the right data. The second is if you actually collected all that data, well, can you analyze it? Well, analyzing comes into 3 things. One is, can you understand the past? Do you understand where you are today and how you got there? Can you understand what's happening in real time? Can you manage your business on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis? And ultimately, can you figure out what's going to happen in the future? And so for us, we look at things in historical real time in terms of what's changing week over week and what's happening in the future. And our belief is that if you can automate that data collection, you can actually understand the past, what's happening in real time in a week-to-week basis in the future. You can coach your reps more effectively. You can sell, you can get more selling time back, and you can actually increase your forecast, which ultimately, as any publicly traded company or a company that's growing, knows how important it's going to do. And so we took this new approach, and said, let's go build this platform, and what we call a predictive sales analytics platform. And what that means is we analyze data from a broad range of sources, CRM, email, calendar. These are directly being pulled from the team. And and we analyze that data, apply machine learning and data science on top of it to drive more revenue and increase forecast accuracy. And so the way that works is we have this data science cloud powered service, which we'll show you in a second, that connects directly into Salesforce.com, which a lot of you guys are familiar with, and it's the CRM system that we connect to today. This can happen in matters of seconds. Literally, we can get you up and running. You can connect into Salesforce, pull all that data, and this allows us to understand, and we sort of apply our data science service on top of that to analyze all the things that are going on and push you to the organization different types of insights. But we know that CRM isn't the only source that actually matters. And so we connect to the reps and the sales teams' email and calendar directly. This isn't about manually copying and pasting stuff into Salesforce. This is connecting directly to a rep's Exchange or Gmail environment, and we automatically pull that into Clari, which allows us to really understand exactly what the customer and rep activity is. And then once we bring all this stuff together in Clari, our service analyzes that data and applies our data science and machine learning to deliver different types of actionable insights to different people in the company. This could be which deals are at risk, exposing which deals can make it in the quarter. This could expose things like which deals have sort of low levels of activity. And we do that through our data science cloud-powered service. And so the way our service predictive layer works is we look at all this data, email, calendar, CRM, and we look at the last 2 years of information. We try to understand the patterns. We look at your won deals, we look at your lost deals, and we look at what's in your open pipeline, and we say, well, how does the current deals map to what's actually happening in the past? As we know, there's patterns, and even as people that can study data, we can look and say, well, this is how other deals played out, which is kind of how a VP of sales would think, and we're trying to do this through machine learning through the background. And so by doing that, we can identify deals that are at risk, deals that are going to make it at a very, very accurate level. And so we take all that information and we push it to you in really, really simple ways. We have a mobile application, which is a simple sort of smart sales assistant that analyzes all this data and gives you these actionable suggestions to do out in the field if you're a mobile team, if you have a team that's very out in the field. And then we're going to show you today how we manifest all that analytics and all that data mining to deliver you really, really powerful analytics to help managers and executives drive everyday decisions. And what we have found through the several large customers that we work with a lot of large enterprises, anywhere from a couple hundred to thousands, that this type of visibility, this type of power of being able to analyze the data, being able to derive really, really powerful decisions through the use of machine learning, not only increase win rates, decrease admin time, increase forecast accuracy, and ultimately decrease sales cycles as well. And these are a sample set of customers and some of that we serve today that have seen some sort of phenomenal results. And the best part of what we try to do, and this goes back to enterprise software, what we believe is that it should be up and running in minutes. And we fundamentally believe that in order to deliver true value to an organization, not only does the data have to work for you, we have to collect the data automatically, you have to be able to do it, be able to be up and running in the same way you can download Uber and be getting a car in a matter of downloading from the App Store. And so what we're going to show you today is how all that stuff gets manifested in reality. And so you're going to see a handful of things that's different from CRM and BI today. One, how automated email and calendar collection really changes everything for the sales team, and how that data really provides a new lens of what's actually happening with your deals. Second, we're going to help you understand how change is a really, really important metric to understand in your deals. If you ask a VP of sales, what happened since last week? They wake up in the morning on Monday, they go to their e-staff meeting, and they're saying, hey, did anything change with my deals? It's a very, very important question that's really hard to get today, and we're going to show you how that's manifested through Clari. And lastly, predictive is a huge part of everything we do. It's not just about looking at data, it's about analyzing the data and finding meaning in it and being able to simplify it such that you can make a decision about what deals are at risk, which deals are going to make it, and we'll show you how that's manifest. And we believe that through these types of powerful sort of tools, you can have a more actionable organization, you can reduce CRM burn, and ultimately increase forecast accuracy. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Marc, and he'll give a end-to-end overview of Clari. Any questions before we go through this? Say what?
Really interested in seeing the demo.
Oh, okay, well then I'm going to get.
So, just before diving into the demo, I just want to reiterate some of the things that Somrat just talked about. At Clari, we take analytics very seriously, and we think analytics, it's really easy to think about charts and cool visualizations, but analytics is about a lot more than just the charts. It's about also giving you actionable insight and also being able to take action. So it's finding out those trends and the outliers and being able to take action on those opportunities. So the way Clari is built today, we have a dashboard and we have an opportunity section. Everything is opportunity-centric. So everything will tie back to your deals and your opportunities ultimately. So to start, here in this context, you're a manager and you're the VP of North America. In the top left-hand corner here, what you've done is you've logged in. It can be a Sunday evening or a Monday morning. And in a matter of seconds, you can immediately see how your team is trending relative to the goal. So right now, your team is $18.9 million short of your $44.5 million goal. In your team, you have 3 different regions. You have the West, you have Central, and you have East. Again, same thing. I can see how each one of those teams is tracking relative to the goal. And in a single second, I can see right now at the West, they're doing phenomenal. They're absolutely blowing out of the water, and they're only $1.5 million short of their $13.5 million goal. That makes me feel good. I know how my teams are tracking, and I know how they're doing relative to their goals. So now the next question is, okay, I know how my team's doing, I know how they're tracking, but how am I going to close that gap of $18.9 million? I need to know that. And so as Somrat was explaining, what we do is the minute you sign in, it only takes us a matter of seconds to start building a model. We look at all your past data, we look at your won deals and your lost deals, and we start finding the variables that matter for us to determine whether a deal is going to win or lose. And so what we do with that model is that we can assign a unique score to every single opportunity, and we can tell you whether we think that that deal is going to close won or close lost. So that's exactly what we do right here. If you look in this widget on the left, you can see your 10 biggest opportunities. These are your commit deals. These are the opportunities that should help you close that gap to reach your goal, right? Your commits. And we have the score over here on the left. And it's great to give you a score. You're probably saying, okay, well, fine. What do I do with a 93? What does that mean to me? Well, what it means is that we show you the actual variables, right? We tell you why we're giving that opportunity a score of 93 and why we have strong confidence that that opportunity, the American expansion with the Chromos account, is going to close. We're telling you that it's moved from best case to commit. The competitive status changed from behind to ahead, so our sales reps is feeling good about this. And the close date was pulled in. So now I'm starting to feel really good about this specific opportunity, the Chromos, America's expansion, closing for $750,000. So again, as a manager, I know where we are, and I'm feeling good about this opportunity. But not all opportunities are doing this well. As a matter of fact, it's as simple as going here and sorting. And I can see that of my top 10 biggest commit deals, I can see that there's 2 at the bottom right there that aren't trending so well. There's the IT storage upgrade, and there's the Vapor DR facility. Again, what does a 46 mean? Well, here for the IT storage upgrade for the Rainbow Services account, I can see it spent too much time in the POC stage. The recent activity level is below normal versus similar deals. And then finally, competitive status is behind. Now I'm not feeling so good about this specific opportunity, right, for $834,000. In addition to that, as Somrat was explaining, we gather all your activity information. So the minute you sign in, we start looking at that. And we can put right here, side by side, your CRM information. And right here for this deal, for example, I can see that there has been activity in the past 30 days, but there hasn't been anything in the past 7 days, and there's no next meeting. Now, as a VP of Sales for North America, I'm concerned. So I found this deal, and I need to take a closer look. And this ties back into what I was saying. It's not only about finding these opportunities, but it's about taking action. So how do we do that? In Clari, it's as simple as clicking through. That's it. Right here, we're going to show you your live data from your CRM, and in just a second, if the connection isn't too slow. We just did a push, so we're testing our QA team right now. But we will show you the opportunity with the details straight from the CRM. And right here, Michael Anderson's having a little connectivity issues on his data, but what you'll see is you'll see all the details for the activity for that specific opportunity. So you can see which meetings occurred, which emails were sent, and which emails were received. Now, before I call Michael here, who's the owner of this opportunity, to figure out what's going on with this deal, I can go and look at the milestones. And I can see that he's only completed 2 of the 7 milestones. That's probably an indicator this deal isn't doing too well, and Michael's not telling me something. So I can hop on the phone with him in 2 seconds, I can look at this, I can have that conversation, and whatever the outcome of the conversation is, I can immediately update anything right here. It's as simple as that. So going back to the dashboards. So far we've seen how you can log in 2 seconds you can see how you're tracking compared to your goal, and you can look at the deals that are going to help you get to your goal. So it's great to see the deals like this in a table format, but sometimes with analytics it's good to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and see if there's other trends, right? And so on the right here, that's exactly what we do. Your activity, we actually, once we've gathered that, we apply a score, we find a score. So we'll score every single opportunity, not only in the CRM data, which is what's on the horizontal axis, so each dot is an opportunity. Towards the right means that we have high confidence that that deal is going to close. But then we give it an activity score. So the higher that dot is, the better the activity for that opportunity. So here we're not only looking at your commits and your best cases in your pipeline. Your commits, sorry, we're looking at your pipeline, your best case, and your commit. And so suddenly, deals that are up here in top right-hand corner, those are deals that have good activity and a good CRM score. Those are deals that I should feel good about as a VP, right? And if I look into more detail, I can see, for example, here, just the best case, the security upgrade, that has an 87 CRM score and an 84 activity level. That's a pretty good score, and that's a pretty high activity level. I need to understand why that's just the best case. Maybe we can pull that in as a commit. Same thing, I can go over here, and I can see if there's a pipeline deal that has a CRM score of 12, but an activity level of 67. Why is my rep working on that activity? I need to understand that. He should not be spending his time on a pipeline deal when we're 2/3 of the quarter way through the quarter. He should be focusing on his commits and maybe on some of his best cases. And the ones that really concern me are the ones that are down here. For example, this commit. Again, it's the IT storage upgrade. It has a low score and low activity, and yet it's still a commit. As with anything, right here I can drill straight in and into the grid, and I can get the answers. So what we've seen so far is that, see how you're tracking, you can find those deals, you can find the ones you're concerned about, you can find the ones that you feel good about. But I want to finish this with one of our most powerful features. So if I start looking at all our opportunities, so here it's great to see the details. It's great to see all your opportunities with all the information from the CRM, right? And as a matter of fact, not only are we showing you that, but we're showing you the changes. So right here, for example, for America's expansion, we can see it recently the close date was pulled in. You get all that information right here. And again, as a manager, that's extremely valuable to see which deals are moving forward, which ones are moving backwards, and which ones are not moving. But as with anything, it's always great to take a step back and look at things from a different perspective, which is exactly what we offer here. You can actually go to a chart mode, and we will plot this by any dimension that you select in the left. Right here, we've automatically set it to forecast and owner. And so I can see how, oops, we've switched it around. So I have the forecast on the top here and the owner on the bottom. So I can go and see, for example, in my pipelines, Michael Anderson owns this much on my pipeline. Again, as with anything in Clari, I can drill straight down and see which specific deals Michael Anderson owns that are in pipeline and why he has so much. So I just want to wrap up the demo at this point and kind of reiterate what we've done. So we've gone through dashboards as a manager. You see how your team's doing. You can find those deals that are going to help you get to your goal, and you can take action. That's it.
Logging into Clari, is that done through Salesforce, or is that a separate website that sales managers need to go through?
So
Is there a tab in Salesforce?
Yeah, so I mean, we have some customers that just take Clari and put it as a tab directly in Salesforce, and there's some other customers that just kind of go directly to Clari.com. And
CFO.
yeah, it's kind of whatever is preferable.
So you guys are looking at the past 2 years. I'm curious if a company's scaling, and let's say 2 years ago they were selling the product for $1,000, and now they're selling it for $3,000. How do you account for future sales in regards to your predictive analytics?
So that's a great question, and as a matter of fact, we have a forecasting module which I didn't show here. But what we do is we actually account for that. So if you're on a growth path, which is, by the way, a lot of our customers, and Sean can name a few that are on the high growth path right now, it's really important to take that into account. So we need to look at not only seasonal trends, but we need to look at your overall growth trends. So we take that into account in our model. Without getting into too much detail of the specific model.
Are you able to show what the forecasting module looks like at least?
No, I cannot. Sorry, not this time.
We can talk to you guys afterwards and kind of show. I mean, what we have shown you right now on the bottom left is a very what we refer to as a deal by deal level score. So we score every single deal. What we're now able to do, and it's taken us a while to sort of be able to do this now, is look at all the deals and say, can we actually project where you're going to end up in your quarter? Using the same machine learning, it's taking it at a higher level and across any region, across any sort of, across the whole business overall, and it's sort of another lens. So as a VP of sales or a sales manager in a territory, you're saying, hey, where am I at right now? And where do I think I'm going to end up? And so that's some new features that we just launched very recently. And if you're interested, we're happy to have a conversation offline.
So how do you or your client create control group to evaluate the incremental value of implement Clari?
It's a broad question, and I will take a second to answer that one. What we do is we have a lot of conversations with our customers. So we spend a lot of time with them in one-on-ones every single day, and through our customer success team, who are phenomenal, they will give us a lot of feedback. So we iterate very quickly. We'll push a feature out. We design it and we build it with to the best of our ability with what the information that we know. And we're young, we're agile, we move extremely quickly, and we learn.
But then sound like there's a control group. I mean, I know it based on feedback, but I'm talking about like you can compare A against B, A/B testing type.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, so the four metrics that every sales team sort of, when the sales organization evaluates any sales technology is am I decreasing admin time? Very common use case. Second, am I shortening my sales cycle? How can I bring deals faster? Can I increase my forecast accuracy, which can be measurable? And ultimately, am I increasing my win rates? And so, if you look at this idea of being able to score deals, it really comes down to a simple concept, which is prioritization. Which is, am I working on the deals that have the highest impact? And as we know, we've all worked with sales teams that work on a bunch of deals that never go anywhere. It's the most common behavior. So managers and executives' responsibility is to coach their reps to focus on the deals that have the highest impact. And so now, through our predictive score, they can quickly identify which deals are actually going to make it. Here are commit deals that are going to make it. Don't work on these deals. And so by doing that, we've been able to show that we've been able to increase win rates and increase the forecast accuracy. When it comes to lowering admin time, we took the most, with two sort of really big pieces of value. One is because a rep automatically connects their email and calendar directly into Clari, a rep never has to log a single activity ever again. And so what this allows is a couple of things. One, takes that admin time down, but the second is managers spend so much time pestering their reps, saying, hey, can you give me an update? What's going on with this deal? What's going on with this deal? What's the next step? Is there a next meeting? And all of a sudden, that time, which is wasted sort of giving updates, is now spent on, hey, I noticed you have these meetings. It looks like you have a next meeting coming up, which now they can discern, very, very quickly, hey, there's a next meeting, it's on Thursday, October 15, which is automatically being pulled, allows them to be more effective from coaching. So, and then lastly, if you all use Salesforce, and you can talk to almost any sales rep about this, is if you manage multiple deals, right, 10, 15, 20 deals, and you have to prepare for a forecast call, just count the number of clicks it takes to update all those fields. So what you're seeing here is a very spreadsheet-like experience. That's why everybody loves spreadsheets, is because it's easy to just go up, down, let me update this field, and so here, as a rep, I can go into Clari, update these are fields that are coming from Salesforce. And there's two things going on. Not only can I take this and say, let me go update my stage, and this is being in real time pulled from Salesforce and updated, I can update deals faster with Clari. But the second thing is that now managers know exactly what I'm changing. So, how often does a question come up from a manager to a rep? Hey, what deals have you touched? What deals have you updated? What's going on? What actually happened in those deals? Because now a manager can log in, and I can actually say, all right, the competitor is now from hot walk to poop. And now that change is actually reflected. Now that change changes from nothing to blue. Manager logs in and knows exactly what's changed. And therefore, they're not pestering with those questions anymore.
I showed this page where you can sort by different measures. Are you able to create new measures using SQL queries or any other way?
So for our CRM score?
No, for the score you showed, we had the bars where one could, I think it was the score. You had bars and you were showing the two different measures, which was one by forecast, one by.
Oh yeah, so just
okay,
yeah. So it's an interesting question.
Are you able to create new measures? For example, if I want to say, I want to show all new customers are created in Q1 2015.
Yeah, so we, not yet today can you go down that far. I mean, what our approach to market today has been build something that we can get you up and running, get you live, and you can use. So a sales manager, VP of sales, or even a CEO can log in and get evaluated away. Longer term, we're going to be able to, so right now we're very purpose-built, but over time we'll become more of a platform where you guys can do those types of things, but not today. But this idea, these fields, this idea of grouping by different information, these are just coming from Salesforce, these fields. Like you can pull as many fields as you want and sort of slice and dice it any way you want. And so as part of our getting live on Clari, we can configure that and saying, hey, what fields do you want to sort of analyze your business around?
So many companies now use market automation tool like Eloqua, Marketo. It's not factored in, right?
Not yet. But as you can imagine, in the same way we automatically collect data from CRM, email, and calendar, salespeople touch all different types of tools. You can imagine automatically logging phone information or my WebEx information or whatever I use for web conferencing. I mean, all that data is there, and it's not automatically collected, and it's not being used. And so, as a company, we believe that there's an opportunity to plug into all these systems and be able to derive interesting decisions. What you're seeing right now is from a predictive perspective, is the first lens into that. Can we to predict which deals are going to make it? Can we analyze your email activity and tell you, hey, here are some commit deals that are at risk? Because here are deals that are at risk that no one's really working on as a commit deal, right? But you can imagine more information being sucked in from other sources of truth.
The lady right there was.
Are you looking at just the quantity of email and calendar, or are you actually going into the email and seeing like any key words? Or?
No, so we just look at the metadata. We stay out of the body of the email for different reasons, and that's what we look at. Yeah.
Why do you ask?
Yeah.
Well, because number one, I think if a deal is progressing, you might go from email to phone, right? And so you would want to see certain work. Your activity might decrease, but your rep is still making contact. And then there might be a conversation where they say we're going to move forward, or they
Sure.
say we're working with a competitor. You see
Sure.
a competitor name in there, and
Yeah, philosophically, we believe that there's a lot of interesting information in all this data. I think there's we have to sort of crawl before we walk with with our customers. You can, as you can imagine, as we're working with some of the largest companies, and so we said header data is very sort of metadata oriented, and yet that information is still very powerful. And so we're starting there, and you know, as customers work with us and become more sort of open-minded in how they think about that, how that data can be used. You know, some organizations are more open, so we're taking a more conservative approach right now. But in the long run, you know, we'll see where the market takes us.
You're saying header data to and from.
To and from,
timestamps,
stuff like that. That's the information we use to sort of derive activity level scoring today.
In terms of predictive analytics, do you have validations in terms of your forecast? I mean, how does the work correlate to actual?
It's yeah, I mean, so you know, some of this new stuff that we're doing, where we're actually taking all the very detailed level deal data and sort of now what I would refer to as calling the forecast. So we can say, hey, you're going to close 47.39 million as a projection. It's too early right now to actually say. I mean, you have to have quarters of that feature to be used. But what our customers are telling us as we show it to them for the first time is that it's another data point that helps them sort of think about where their business is, right? If I asked, you know, if you ask the VP of sales today, today's October 7th, right? Hey, we're going to end up in this quarter. That's what they're asked. They're like, I don't know. I mean, well, it looks like here's what's my CRM system. I don't know what's going to close. And so we're able to say, well, here's a data science, machine learning driven approach, and we think your projections will be there. And turns out your goal, there's a 20% gap. We think there's a problem, and now they can sort of analyze that. And so this is some of the things that we're recently doing with some of the new features.
Are you able to go a little into more detail about the methodology you use for the predictive analytics?
Can you elaborate more on that question?
Yeah, so what kind of tools do you use to predict forward? Are you using historical data as far as year-over-year, quarter-over-quarter, day-over-day, or are you using last month to see how things progress? Are you using business days, work days, how many days in the month, how many days in the quarter?
I think we can take that question. We'll take that question offline.
I mean, at a higher level,
more details.
yeah, I mean, at a higher level, we look at a 15 to 20 attributes on the deal, of which, you know, some of the ones that you're mentioning are part of it. And we applied this model called a Markov model, which I will do a disservice to even describe how that model actually works. So please don't ask that question. However, the way it works is we look at 2 years historical data. We look at patterns, we look at loss patterns, and then we look at these different attributes: stage duration, time, stage. You know, those are that's what we look at. Yeah.
But the CRM scoring is particular to each business.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, we do not analyze deals across. I mean, they're very different data, right? There's businesses that are very transactional in nature, and then we have to apply that into consideration versus deals that are large in nature with long sales cycles. So no predictive model is the same across different types of businesses.
And it's also rebuilt every night. So as we're learning as you're growing too, which is important for a growing company, right? We will figure this out. So every single night we will rebuild the model, and we'll take into account the new information.
How do you account for poor email correspondence? And what I mean by that is, so I email a person and they say no, they want to talk to me. That's fine. That's great. That's not a good indicator. What if I'm emailing a person, we're literally just going back and forth, with just back and forth, and they're not trying to buy, but it's me trying to convince them to buy. If I'm understanding it, you guys see that as a good indicator that they're interested.
No, so there's two parts to that question. The first part is that the activity isn't everything, right? That's not the whole picture. There's the CRM stuff, right? So that could be reflected in high activity and low CRM score, first of all. Second of all, our activity scoring actually takes all that into account, and it weighs things differently. So a meeting isn't worth as much as an email sent, right? And so an email received might be worth a lot more than an email sent. So we take that into account as well.
I mean, if you look at most CRM logging activities, people are like, oh, look, I had a lot of activity, and it's like, no, customer's not responding. So you have to take all that into consideration. You have to even look at the meetings and the attendees in those meetings. And you have to find patterns on, is it the same person, you know, over a period of time. So we use, these are all attributes that we have to look into to actually get to a very simplistic number, which is a score. But it didn't take, this is not one of those things where it's like you build it and it's like we've spent months, a really long time, and we had to actually show this to our customers first. before we even put this in the product. Like we had to say, hey, we've analyzed your data and we've found these patterns. Can we show it to you and see if it's accurate? And then we would meet the VP of sales and saying that's actually what's going on. Like so we have the pressure test before we actually put this in the product. And so this is the manifestation of those learnings.
But the score, the composition, is it disclosed to the client or is it kind of black box?
So it's a bit of both, right? So we don't want to tell the world how we're doing everything. That's part of our magic. But that's why here, for example, we do tell you a bit of what's going on, right? It's important for us to, if I just go here, for example, we do give you a bit of information on what's going on in a black box. And that's partially for you to trust us, right? Because you're not just going to trust a score of 46. You have to know a bit what's going on in there. And same with the activity score, right? Here, for example, if I look, same thing as the IT storage, an activity score of 17, well, what does that really mean? Well, you can kind of, okay, fine, activity score means something, but you can also get the details right there. So there's a bit of our secret sauce in the background, but we will surface what we think is valuable information.
I think the other thing to be mindful of is a VP of sales, they just want to get an answer to the question. Like the simple thing is they just want to know, are my deals going to make it? Which deals should I focus on? Which deals are at risk? Which reps are sandbagging by working on certain deals? Like in the case of, hey, here's this best case deal that should be a commit. They just want to get those answers. And anything to get them the answers fast is what they're looking for. And so now they can log in, quickly see that, and there's some sort of customers that want to drill in deeper, but then they realize they come back to this is the level of information that I'm really looking for.
But building a CRM score is sales reps' historical performance embedded into the model as well. Why I'm asking this question is
the rep specific applied to the score?
Yeah, historical performance, because the score, for example, from close review, maybe the score is the same. However, that the performance, given that historical performance, then even this is the same score for you, but you probably will close deal quickly. And then use Mark as your as an example, maybe that's more difficult. So that could give that VP or even sales manager to prioritize that, whether this is truly risks deals or this has different performance.
Yeah, so each rep does have a different behavior, right? But at the end of the day, we need enough data to actually be able to build these models.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, really, behavior should be somewhat coherent across the whole organization. So we don't go to the individual rep level, just because we need to make sure that there's enough relevant data. And again, as I said, if you have large sales cycles, that's common across the organization. If you have a number of stages, if you have milestones, that's all common across the organization. So right now we've found there's not enough of a behavioral thing for us to go down to and solve it at the rep, individual rep.
I think longer term, I think we're going to want to, but today the score is sort of the custom, there's this buyer journey, which is your sales process. They go through these stages, and we're looking at that as the primary means to understand whether a deal is going to make it, not looking at the rep. And if you look at, there's new reps, there's people coming and going, and so there's a lot of volatility in certain situations. And so we haven't applied that to the model yet.
This is really cool stuff, guys. When you pull in all that email and calendar data, are you actually creating activities in Salesforce, or is it just for this model? And
right now, it's being pulled in and automatically displayed in Clari. We're not pushing it back into Salesforce. What we have found, for most customers, is that logging activities is only as good as being able to understand what's actually going on, and so and that's the more important question. And so we've taken those activities, and once we put it in Clari, is we visualize it in a more consumable way. I mean, in this case, in this very simple dashboard, I can see here's a deal that is going to make it. I know that there's active activity and there's a meeting going on. It's very hard to discern that same question in a matter of seconds from Clari. But today we do not push it back.
You're analyzing the data, but you're not actually
pushing it back. Not yet.
CRM data quality.
Not in that specific context.
What about Salesforce activity, the task and event objects?
We don't study those today. But that's something we need to, we're going to explore more. Right now we're looking at CRM metadata level plus what's actually happening in your email and calendar, which happens to be most of the tasks and activities, not new tasks and so forth. A lot of the customers that we serve today have large field sales teams, which are not sitting in front of their desk. They're not even using a lot of that functionality because they're on the road running around, and it's even harder to actually know what's actually happening in the field.
A lot of us push significant marketing automation activities to Salesforce.
Oh yeah.
Form fill-outs and.
Yeah, so what we would want to do is for companies that we'd want to partner with those marketing automation tools and figure out how do you pull that automatically, and so we could sort of use that information to derive even more interesting insights and even drive more accuracy to the information that we serve from a predictive model perspective, which we could either do it directly from Salesforce, or we could do it directly from a marketing automation platform, which we don't do today, but you can imagine that those are things that we can directly do.
Could you share more about the calendaring and how you guys take that into the predictive side? Because I see that you guys talk about the email side, but what are you guys doing when you guys plug into like a Google group calendar or?
Yeah, so for your wherever your calendar is, whether it's Exchange or Google or Gmail, you just plug in. That's with your email as well, and we'll pull that information. We put that in as well with the activities, so that's where you can see it right there. And we look at your next meetings as well. So that's also particularly interesting through mobile, where we'll push information. So you have next meeting coming up, and we'll push relevant information with that as well, saying, hey, by the way, here's some news about your customer that it's going to be in this next meeting that's coming up. And at the end of the meeting, we'll also ask you how the meeting went for a quick update, so that you can keep that clean CRM data. Yeah.
I think earlier in your presentation, one of the slides, your fundamental philosophical beliefs about data, capturing full data rather than partial. And I'm seeing that you capture 3 sources of data, but there's a lot of other data out there. I mean, people text one another.
Sure.
That's not being captured. So there's certain data that you're not quite capturing. Is there
Totally.
an idea for the future to?
Yeah, we believe that all enterprise software is going to be powered by machine learning. Like what we think of software today is going to be very different 10 years from now. In order for us to deliver on this experience where we're pushing things to you and telling you what you should be working on next and which deals are going to make it, we have to have all the data. And so we started with 3 sources because we got to start somewhere. But longer term, we're going to be tapping into more sources if it's available. Texts, while extremely useful, it's very hard to get access to that on an iPhone. Android might be different. So we're working with our customers to try to figure out where else could this go? Could we phone systems? Do we plug into your conferencing tools? Whether it's texting, whether it's a marketing automation platform to tell you more. There's a lot of things that should be automatically pulled in and analyzed, and that doesn't exist in this world today. What do you guys think?
It's interesting. How much?
Well, if you guys are interested in learning more, please come to talk to us, and we appreciate the opportunity to be here today. We also have some pizza that there's a raffle. Little things
Before we do it, does anyone want a last minute entry?
Sure.
That wasn't able. We have 10 things you can call.
Okay, 10 things. All right. Maybe should I do middle outs? I guess. Rodrigo. All right. If your name comes up. Henry. Oh, this is cheating. These little squares are just, this is not cool, guys. Not cool.
What, there's 2 names?
No, it's just, when business cards have odd shapes, it's like, you grab them. Paul Livinson. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, all right. I feel like I didn't do a really good job there. Kurt Corbin. All right. I'm just going to keep on calling until we're out. Gary Fusco. Gary Fusco, is Gary around? All right.
Oh, water bottles. Okay, that's good. I left.
Carrie McMahon.
I left mine at the gym today.
You're gonna get a t-shirt? Oh, no. Yeah, this is not a roll call list. You're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. Omari? Yes. All right.
Or you go pick up your water bottle.
Oh, yeah. Chris Rips. Chris Rips. Is there Chris Rips around?
You're gonna enter. You're gonna enter all these in your lead.
I got two more. Oh, you go back. Michael Gore. Michael Gore. And let's do this one right here with white. Closer. Oh, Jim Ritchie. Sorry, I thought your name was Closer. Okay. All right, thought, you know. You can grab it. Thank you guys. Have some pizza if you're marginally hungry. Otherwise, thank you.
I'm gonna tell Jay Rice.